special day, to say the least. Today is the Startup Sunday special edition, and this one's all about Valentine's Day, isn't it? Thanks, Rohit, Shivi, Chandni, Anamika, Akhil. Thanks, everybody, for joining in. Really fantastic to have all of you here. Just waiting for my co-host, Mr. Vijetha, to join in. As I said, all right, here comes Vijetha.
Yeah. Hey guys, good evening.
Very
Jagat,
good. All good. All good. Today is a special day.
Yeah, great. So we have quite a few. Okay, I see Rohit, I see Akhil, Shivi, I see. Yeah, okay, great. So who's not in charge? Ashutosh has to join us, huh?
Ashutosh will join in. I've messaged him. Should come in
Okay.
anytime.
All right, great. So anyway, we have Rohit here. We have Shivi also in. Very good evening, everyone. And good evening to all the folks who are joined in as well. Akhil is here, Chani. It's a Valentine's Day, whatever, 14th Feb, season of love, a day that we have to give a lot of love to the startups and to the entrepreneurs and to the community and ecosystem. So I think this is a very nice concept, Jagat. Nice of you to put this together.
Thank you.
Right, and to all our viewers who are watching us on YouTube and Facebook, this is Vijetha here. I'm part of the Thai Bangalore team. But of course, what matters here is most importantly the ecosystem and the community activities that we are putting together. Thank you, Jagat, for making Vidphone such a lovely platform for bringing together so many people. And let's start off. It's 6:02. We have about an hour. What are we going to be talking about today? I think, Jagat, it's also about the resources, what's available, what can we do more for the ecosystem come together. So, what are your thoughts?
Well, as I said, today we have something interesting planned. We're trying to draw the parallels between startup life and love life, right? I think I call this more infotainment, right? All the time, I think heavy knowledge is kind of people get bored. Today is also a Sunday, and so keeping in spirit with the whole the Valentine spirit. Today we're doing this very interesting session. So what I'll do is I'll share my screen, and feel free. People can join in via the raise hand feature. Share your thoughts. Again, what I'm saying is to be taken with a bit of pinch of salt. Nothing formal here. Everything today is Sunday. It's an informal day, but hopefully some lessons. Right, that's the most important. So I'll just share my screen here. All right, my screen is visible. I think for the viewers, you can just full screen, the video, and you'll see this, mind map that I'm going to put together. Vijetha, all good?
Yeah.
All right. So here is the topic for today. Something interesting. This is called the 5 parallels between love life and startup life. Right? People feel free to comment. Right? This one's I would say controversial topic. Some may agree, some may not disagree. But feel free to give your views, right? So let me very quickly put together this. There are 5 stages, okay, between in love life and in startup life. And what I'll do is I'll quickly run through all of these points. Then obviously all our guests can come on the platform, share their views as well, their own stories. The very first is what I call the stage 1 is the merge. Now, this is the first stage of a relationship, right? It's really what we call the honeymoon stage. Everything is right here, right? You really never see that something is wrong with your partner, and also quite similar to your startup, right? In the early days, we feel that hey, this is the $1 billion idea. It's going to be a utopian run, right? Really, the honeymoon stage. This is the time when you have a lot of biochemical changes, right? It's really not a rational decision many times, right? It's really about your hormones taking over, oxytocin, serotonin, dopamine, you name it. All the oxytocin, all the hormones are going overboard. That's why they say love is blind, right? So it's blind simply because there's no emotion there. I mean, there's no rationale. It's all emotion. And what do you do at this stage, right? This is a very critical stage. In fact, the honeymoon stage, many people would say is probably the best stage ever in the relationship, right? The simple thing here is to enjoy it and to go slow, right? Know that the honeymoon stage will not last. Also very much true with your startup. Everything will not seem rosy like it's looking today. There'll be a lot of challenges going forward, But this is the time you got to really enjoy, right? You have enough cash in the bank when you start. You have, a reasonable window. Enjoy it, really enjoy the time. Most importantly, go slow, right? Try not to take any huge decisions here, because it's mainly done out of emotion. It's not really done out of any kind of rationale. Now, after this first stage, that is, you get to the merge stage. The second, you get to what we call the doubt and denial, right? This is the next stage. Okay, so the honeymoon is over. We find that everything is good, but suddenly, hey, why is the shoe there, right? Or why are you hanging the clothes this way? Whatever it might be, right? You start noticing differences. This is where you see that, okay, maybe my spouse or my girlfriend or my boyfriend or my startup is not as perfect as I thought it was, right? There are a lot of issues, small things. Then we get to small power struggles. It's like, hey, you have to listen to me, and this typically could happen with founders at this time. uh, you kind of got in the idea, some customers or some product idea, something's not happening the way you want, right? Then each person there wants to say that, my way or the highway, right? Again, the typical biological responses here. There are two main responses. Sorry, I'm just laughing because it's quite a funny situation. uh, the second is the biological responses. You either withdraw or you fight, right? Two ways to really handle any kind of differences that come up. um, very important here is, at this stage is when I think we have to learn conflict management at a very beginning stages. Before things go too bad, before things go out of control, somebody's got to be the bigger person, be able to say that, okay, the future is more important than this temporary fight. And really important to handle conflicts at this stage, right? So the first stage that we saw, the stage one, is the merge, honeymoon stage. All your hormones are going overboard. Enjoy that phase and go slow. The moment you find you come to the second stage, the doubt and denial stage, that's where you notice the differences. You have options to either withdraw or to fight, but the better thing to do would be to withdraw and to be able to kind of handle the conflict as it's there, right? Now we come to the third stage. We are well into this relationship, be it a startup or be it your love life. You have seen that the winter of love, this is what's called the winter of love. End of the road, right? Sometimes it seems like, hey, there are just too many differences I'm noticing than the things I thought were good, right? And that's when you feel, yeah, everything is going to come to an end. And the very first days, today, the stage one, that is the honeymoon stage, seems like a very distant memory. You have all of those beautiful dreams you had of this, of your girlfriend or your boyfriend or your startup being this golden child or golden person, is now slowly going away. This is when you begin to realize again that the I is more important than the we, right? Sometimes you feel that, hey, we thought together it would be really good, but I miss those good old days when I was all by myself, right? Where I didn't really have to be in this kind of relationship. What do you do at this stage? This is again a very critical stage. Things could go one way or the other. This is when you clear the air and you start creating some space. Typically, when you start a company, though you have different roles that each founder needs to take, many times there may be some kind of overlap. There may be some points where you need to take decisions together. So these are areas where you need to be clear who's taking what decision, what is it that the other person does not like, and try and stay away from that. I think this is very basic management here. A trick that we have found: try and show affection even when upset, right? I think it's really difficult to be loving and to be affectionate when you're upset with someone or something. Also true with your startup. Sometimes you find that people are asking you who are your competition, and people are asking you, this product does not have this feature, or whatever it might be, right? This is the time when, even if you're upset with, be it your founders, be it your potential customers, you have to show affection. And it's a very critical stage, right? Now that we have come to this disillusionment, we come to the core part. Like, this is the, what do you call, the important climax stage of the relationship, the decision. Now, the moment we say decision, people are always afraid, right? There is something that inherently we are afraid of when taking decisions. In other words, it's also what we call commitment, right? And when I talk about commitment, think about, for example, going to school, right? Why did we go to school? We didn't go to school every day because we wanted to learn something. We really went to school because we paid fees, or your parents paid fees, right? Uh, Similarly, for example, going to office every day, right? When I was doing a job, I go to office every day and come back, not always because I love my job, but it's because I get a salary, right? So this decision or commitment is always connected to something else. But what are these breaking points? These, are emotional breakdowns. Sometimes there's a feeling of indifference. Hey, I just don't want to go there. I just don't want to talk to them. I want to stay away, right? You also have this feeling of remoteness. It's okay if we stay away for some time. I don't, feel like seeing you every day. And I think these are natural things to happen in life and in startups, right? The moment you have faced some kind of disillusionment or doubt and denial, it's natural for people to actually have some kind of indifference towards the other object or the person. You are now in a stage where you're ready to end the relationship. You're saying, okay, it's been 9 months, 10 months. I have kind of seen what this, new thing is about. And maybe it's not for me, right? Maybe I need to change my game. Maybe I need to change my, partner. What do you do at this stage? This is a very, very critical stage. Things could go one way or the other. And most people, be it a startup or a relationship, this is the breaking point. People never see the fifth and beautiful stage because this is the last step for many people. What is very important here is to actually do the work. And what we mean by doing the work is to see what is our mistake in this whole relationship. It's to really understand, firstly, in your love life, it is to understand, to say, hey, what's causing all these fights? What's causing these problems? Is it really me, or is it the other person? Or is it actually somebody else or something else? You have to analyze and see what can you do to change the equation. Very similar to your startup. The reason customer or an investor is rejecting you many times has nothing to do with actually you as a person. It's to do with your work. It's to do with the product or to do with the market. Here is where you need to kind of retrospect, think about really, what can we do to change the equation? Is it some new feature we need to add? Is it some new market? Something else that we need to work on to fix this whole problem. So understand your role in the deterioration and do the work that's needed to get things back on track, right? Once we come to this decision, we come to this beautiful utopian stage, that everybody wants. Who doesn't want wholehearted love, right? Somebody shared today a quote with me, very interesting quote. I'm not sure who it was. Says, everybody wants unconditional love, but has got a whole bunch of conditions with it. And it's one of the best quotes I heard, right? How can you have unconditional love when it's on a whole bunch of, conditions? Very, very important to understand. This is the final stage. It's the healthiest and most rewarding stage of your relationship. It's like, many years ago, you sowed the seeds, and after a lot of watering, a lot of rains, putting a lot of fertilizer in the soil, this little seed has now become a full-fledged tree, and you can enjoy the fruits of that tree. But it does not come overnight. It comes after what I mentioned, clearly 4 stages before this. This is the period that leads to self-discovery. You begin to realize that there are a lot of imperfections in everything. We as people, you are not perfect. Your love is not perfect. Nor is your startup. Nor is your product. The beauty and the beauty in appreciating this always comes down to when we accept imperfections and to realize there is no perfect match, right? We all have to live with, imperfections, with people, with things, with entities, and we have to move forward. And the most important, what do you do at this stage? This is the stage you need to nourish yourself. It's a beautiful time. You have passed the rough seas. You're now cruising in the ocean. Really have generosity. Go that extra mile. Unleash that sense of humor that's been missing over the past three stages. Your stage four, stage three, and stage two would have been full of fights. Even if you had to crack a joke, the other person will find the problem in the joke. A really tough time. Be flexible here. You'll realize what is it to adjust. The old Kannada saying of simply adjust, Madi. It really comes in. Also, in your business, as you run a larger company, you will have all kinds of people in the company. We have to accept them, as long as, of course, within certain boundaries. You accept them, you be flexible with your own work culture and accommodate as many kind of people, into the organization. Most importantly, you find your true purpose in this stage. Either you have taken that next step towards, let's say, getting married, or it could be towards really, raising money or moving to that next stage. This is the most important and the final stage of the relationship. But the beauty of this whole, what I mentioned here, it's really about, this is not a linear phase. It's not you go to merge, then you go to doubt and denial, you come to disillusionment, decision, wholehearted love, and it stops. Typically, you will find this is cyclic. After you find that wholehearted love, again, you will find new ways to rekindle the romance with your own startup. This could also be some new product lines. This could be an acquisition. This could be brand new things, brand new areas that you're getting into that previously you have not done. So, very, very crisply today, I just wanted to take 15, 20 minutes, share these similarities between your love life and your startup life and see how similar they are. Of course, there could be some differences, which I'll discuss now, with everybody. But overall, the 5 stages: the merge, doubt and denial, disillusionment, decision, and endless wholehearted love, right? So, with this, I just want to end this very, very short Valentine's Day special note on the 5 parallels between love life and startup life. And over to you, Vijetha. Happy to discuss.
Yes, Jagat. So I think I've done the raise hand option. I just want to see Shivi is there, Rohit is there, any one of you, and Ashutosh also is there. So just guys, just click on the raise hand so that we can get you in to the conversation. And Jagat, thank you so much for putting this together and all the illustrations. Very beautifully done. Okay, just a minute. Who's coming? Okay, Shivi is here. Okay. Yeah, Shivi. Yes, Shivi, can you hear us?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay. Hi. How's everything going on at home, family? Everything good?
Yes, all good.
Okay, fantastic. So,
And whatever Jagat mentioned, few of those are also happening in parallel.
okay,
But yeah,
good. So, how's been your journey as now away from the corporate and as a startup, as a woman entrepreneur? You're trying to work. I know a few things that you're doing, but we would love to hear your journey, some of the new things that you are offering to the community. So, love to hear your thoughts.
yeah. So far so good. I think I'm still in my honeymoon period in terms of Jagat. So we have, when I started, I also kind of targeted few things that I would like to do. And my knowledge of in this field, because I've been researching from a long time and also mentoring a lot of startups, consulting with a lot of startups, that knowledge comes in handy sometimes. So we have a target set in our mind when we started with my other co-founders as well. So we are trying to reach there. We are somewhat there for this month, but yeah, the journey has been a lot of ups and downs. So my husband and me are basically co-founders as well, right? So our love life and startup life, I've seen the transition a lot. We just got married last year, and I was not thinking, I wanted to start something, but then something stuck, something, when we just got married and lockdown happened. Then I worked in a corporate life, and as you said, sometimes when you go to office, you're just going. But in COVID, you get a lot of free time, also sitting at home thinking what you should have done and all. Then I decided to quit and start the venture called 1000 plus entrepreneurs, where we are kind of helping, working with a lot of startups and SMEs. We do marketing, program management for them. And then for startups, early stage startups and entrepreneurs, we are doing business development and consulting as well. I'll just take a very funny take on this topic today. How to compare this love life and startup. So me and my co-founders yesterday, we had our close friend's birthday, so we were just talking. Like, when you start a startup, you're just infatuated with the idea. You can't do it. So in the love life, when you see someone, you can't talk to them, but always want to think about them and all that. So I think this is the very first stage what happens. And then someday you just take a courage and just deep dive into it. You talk to them. If they say yes, it's good. So if you decide something to move forward, it's good. So you start a company, start a relationship, or we call it dating. So, and then you go on dinners, you kind of start with your other half. And similarly, when you start a business, you kind of start talking to potential consumers. And then if the things are going good, things are going good. You obviously have some here and there problems in both of the sense. But when you get married, right, when you start the next journey, then your family comes in. So I think I compare that to raising funds. You start raising funds, all the investors come in. And that's where the whole, you have to be very prepared. So I think that's how I see the comparison. It's too resonating. When you told me about the topic in the morning, I just started thinking of this, and I was like, oh, this is like very similar. So yeah, I think that's my take on it. But as you also very beautifully described, Jagat, you just keep through the tough time, and then there's always a very very nice period waiting for you in stage 5. So I completely kind of agree with that. People have to kind of stand their ground, and once you are over the obstacles, you will see the light at the end of the day. So yeah, this is my take. Any other questions? Any other things which
You
we
have
can
some
take it up?
workshops. You have some workshops also coming up, I think, with Om, right?
Yes.
Which is free to attend and
Yes.
everything. So, because I think which will be vital for founders. I mean, that is something that, and I think Jagat, you and Shivi are also talking to each other to put together some nice workshops and activities for the entrepreneur community. So, maybe you guys would like to talk about that, please.
Sure.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So, yeah, I think me and Jagat were kind of discussing on bringing very educative workshops, because as startup founders ourselves, we kind of come through a lot of questions, and a lot of we also have to, as you also, Vijita, always ask us to build our skill set, right? So, what are those skill sets? So, let's say you start a startup. So, we are doing a workshop on agile scale, agile framework. So I think it will be very good for the startup founders as well who are looking to expand to the next stage. How you can use these technologies and move way forward. Then we are also planning a workshop on sales and marketing, digital market. I think we'll divide into multiple series where we talk about sales. We will talk about collaborative opportunities in the market you should go for to improve your sales. Then obviously digital marketing is a big hit now since we are more on virtual platforms. So how you can leverage, and Jagat is also building an amazing platform where you can enable virtual sales, right? So I think how to use such kind of platforms to give an actual view for to your customers. I think these are, and design thinking also. So design thinking, practical approach. So not the bookish one. How do we actually take design thinking? So a lot of startups actually reach out to me and they ask me, we are looking to build a platform, tech platform, or let's say a game. How do we go about it? How do we start? They just get into execution of we need coders, we need developers, but before coders and developer, you need to think what are your requirements, what are your customer segments, So all these things, a very practical approach to build any tech portal, how you guys can go about it. So I think that's the third workshop, the third topic we are planning a workshop on. Jagat, please feel free to add if I've missed on anything.
No, I think definitely Shivi. I think Shivi comes from a background of corporate innovation at AB and Bev. I think, as she mentioned, a lot of the topics today are things that a lot of startups, while there is some knowledge out there, it's not that you cannot Google these topics and get some information. But I think what people lack is a more in-depth and hands-on kind of examples. That's, I think, something that will be a unique thing. Also, we'll try and have some ways where you can actually put yourself in that canvas, in the canvas, and actually see your business, how it actually changes, right? So these are, I think, areas how we can actually make this a lot better. But yeah, we'll please keep tuned to our social pages, and of course with 1,000 entrepreneurs as well, and Thai Bangalore. I think all of us together, our goal is to benefit, is to trying to help this ecosystem, right? Also, audience, feel free, any topics you find that we want to cover, please feel free to reach out. Founders Feed WhatsApp group as well. Thank you so much.
Yeah. I think one of the things that Shivi has been doing, of course, it's a part of her offering as a founder startup. She's also helping a lot of startups to scale, get them into paid POCs with the corporates, expand into the market, and of course, digital part, right? I wish I could learn much more and much faster than a lot of the youngsters, but we need that skill. We need that skill on how to market, how to brand, how to create beautiful content. Right, Jagat? I mean, the work that you and Akhil put in to put out so much of it, I think, what 2 or 3 sessions almost every week on an average in the last 6 months is a lot of effort, but it has to be done. It needs to be done. And I think, Shivi, you have also been working with a lot of founders. So I wish you guys all the best. Of course, my support to create this content and get it out into the ecosystem is always there, Shivi and Jagat. Definitely.
Thank you, sir, for all your help.
Sure.
And I think even we will like audience, all other startup founders, if they're looking for a particular topic, so they can always either post in the group or post in this channel. So we can see what are their pain points, right? Like Jagat also mentioned, you can Google all these things, but still there are certain things which are missing. So I will like request the audience also to put up these pain points, and we can figure out.
Thanks, Shivi, and have a wonderful evening. Be stay in touch, and God bless. Look after yourself. All right.
Sure.
Thanks for joining in. Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you. So now I would love to have Ashutosh. You just give us a raise hand option, and then I can get you back onto it. Yeah, that's it. Click here. Ah. Hi, Ashutosh.
Hello, sir. How are you?
Good. So you're outside somewhere, huh?
Yeah. So it was a little sudden, so I thought, we were out, so we thought, okay, let's
No,
still go.
no. Thank you for joining in. Thank you so much, Ashutosh. And I think those sessions that you've been doing, all the sessions around funding, equity, term sheets, ESOPs, sales, everything has been legal. Those have been very much appreciated on the Vidphone platform. And
Anytime.
thank you so much for that. So, what is your take on all the startup love, your 2 startups that you have, all the people that you mentor? What's going on out there?
My take has always been this is something, when I was in college, somebody said, there was this question that, what do you like about C++, right? And everyone was giving some random answers. And I suddenly, wanted to probably sound cool. So I said, I enjoy what I do. And it kind of has become my mantra now. So, whether I'm doing, technology, sales, whatever we have to do, right? You got to enjoy what you have to do. And then that's your first love, right? And I think my wife will complain that my work has become my first love, right? Uh, if you're starting up and then you're not married, it's okay to spend the time as much as possible to build the startup, build the culture, and enjoy whatever you're trying to do. Whether you have to build a team, you don't like a role where you are in a in a leadership role. Maybe you don't like it, but you have to take it, and then you have to enjoy it. As long as you enjoy it, eventually you'll fall in love with it, and then you'll do better at it, right? But at the same time, there are other things as well. We have family, we have our parents, we have our kids. So that balance of life is very important. And one of the things that we forget at some point is, how do you get this balance? And I'm no stranger to that, right? So we also were in a position where we were not balancing our life. And I asked this question to Jamie Dimon, who was the CEO of JP Morgan. And he said that, every morning he'll take a piece of paper and fold it into four, and he'll write, what are the five things that he has to complete work wise, family wise, uh, health wise, and mindset wise, right? So as long as it's important to, finish your work, finish your, family, the one thing that we forget is loving ourselves, right? So that love, that emotion with us to keep us backed up is very important, especially for like founders. uh, Loving yourself and being supporting yourself is very important. Only when you support yourself is when you can get the support from others also. So that's just my message to everyone, right? That love yourself. Don't see yourself in a position where you're bogged down and you have to feel that you're not doing 100%, right? You're giving 100%. You're doing everything, and just enjoy that. Just enjoy yourself, and hopefully we'll end up building something really great.
Super.
Interesting, Ashutosh. That's really, really nice. Okay. Then, Ashutosh, one of the things that like how Jagat is talking about, family, health, wealth, all these balances. This it's always a tough push. And of course, you want look. There is fair and pressure, and ask that you should earn money as well. Let's not run away from the vitamin M part of it. Okay.
Yeah.
So where do you, how do you be careful about these things? Yeah, because one has to be careful. Love is good, passion is good, but what if there's a challenge in your personal life, your family life? Then what happens?
I mean, so the best thing to do is have an open conversation. Like when I come home, the first thing I do is, whether my wife likes it or not, I tell her whatever has happened in the day, right? And that has two main imperatives, right? One is, uh, it lets me unload whether it was something that good happened at work or whether there was something that was really terrible that happened. Second was, it lets a conversation going between us, right? Otherwise, what happens is that, if you're still bogged down by work, you come home and then you open your laptop, you're doing something, right? So that balance goes away. But the moment you come home and you make it a practice, right, where you're telling the other half, how the day went, what are the things that happened. It may be mundane, it may be, nothing happened in the entire day, but it keeps the conversation going. It lets you unload. And that's how, we bring the balance back in. And then eventually, we have to realize that there are kids in the family, right? So there are their parents. So they need equal attention. So have that discussion going, have everyone ask and talk about, like, how it's going, right? So that starts the balance, right? And that's the conversation that starts. So that's one part of it. And then the second thing is, uh, I always try to find, like, what is your escape from this entire world, right? For some people, it may be listening to music. For some, it might be sketching and drawing. For me personally, it has been cooking. So Sunday, I make sure that I am making lunch, and so that's also like a cooperative thing that happens between me and my wife, and then we are doing that. So find a way. So if you're listening to music, listen to music together. If you're sketching, sketch together. If you're trying to learn music, learn music together. But do things together. Don't do things alone. And that's where you start finding the work-life balance.
That's an interesting take. That's very interesting. Good, good. And of course, it helps if you're, if you're the husband and wife and everyone is kind of aligned to some of these things also. Otherwise, it becomes
Yeah,
difficult, I'm sure.
yeah,
Okay, great.
yeah. It does.
Jagat,
Yeah.
yeah, Jagat, what is your take on this? What would you like to talk to Ashutosh about?
No, I mean, I think fantastic, right? I think great notes for me as well. But the only thing is, of course, my wife also, she does listen, but I've been saying the same thing for a long time. Nowadays, she's like, same stuff. But yeah, I think it's a really important thing, right? Doing things together. I think, and
Yeah,
outside of work, sketching and cooking, and also I know
yeah,
where to get my next Sunday meal. Then I'm going to come and knock on your door. But yeah,
for
really
sure, for
nice.
sure.
Handling two startups, and I think marriage, and I think kids as well. I think that's like one hell of a balancing act. I'm not yet there, right? I'm just married, just got my kid, so happy to walk the path as well. I think your tips are very useful.
Yeah, sure, 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 absolutely. And I think I was fortunate enough to in US there's this company called Groupon, right? So they used to give coupons and stuff. So every now and then I'd see like these group classes where you're taking things together.
Right.
So I was not married back then, but then I always thought that when I get married, that's the breakaway, right? So because we can't travel, and especially with COVID, travel has become even more difficult to do. So how do you do things together? So right now for us, cooking has been the thing, and she of course cooks much, much, much better than me. But at least I try, and maybe I'll put some salt in it and say that yeah, well, to cook the food. So so that's how we do stuff. So
Wonderful.
that's the love life balance with the work life balance.
Super. Thanks so much, Ashutosh. I know you're outside with your family as well, and thanks for tuning in. Really, really useful.
Yeah, thank you so much. Thank you. Yeah, happy Valentine's Day, everyone. Yeah, enjoy.
You too.
Yeah, thank you, Ashutosh. Bye bye.
Yeah, bye.
Yeah, bye. So now I would need Rohit to come online. Rohit, you can just raise the hand and we will get you in. So good. This is, yeah, but what I think what he says is right, right? I mean, you're spending so much of time on your startups. You need to have a
Yes.
way to figure your personal life out also.
Doing things together. I think well, very well
Yeah,
said.
there's Rohit. Hi, Rohit. How are you?
Hi, how are you doing?
All good, all good. Yeah. Thank you so much for joining in. Huh? Yes, yes. Okay. Perfect, perfect. So how's it going for you, Rohit? And how is your startup? What's your latest updates from the trenches?
I mean, it's a good question. Uh, I've heard everyone. However, my take is very different. While startup has to be kind of a love life, kind has to be maybe as important as family. I genuinely think. I mean, that's purely my point of view. That uh, one family is paramount. So for family would always be there on the top. Two, I think just I'm making a point to ponder, and you all can contribute to it. Can you can you leave family when things do not go wrong, and can you leave founders and co-founders and starters when things go wrong? I think drawing parallels is not easy. I think we should not be drawing parallels. I think, yeah, I mean, I agree. Considering today is a good day and everyone wants to talk about happy things, but I think I'm just kind of playing a role of the devil's advocate and trying to address the not so happy things. You can't leave your, you know, spouses. You can't leave your uh, parents, maybe friends, even if they are wrong. But I think there are these days when you got to take these decisions in the startups. I mean, and you 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 can let me know if I'm going wrong. So comparing life with startup would be little. I mean, I would not want to compare my life with what I do professionally. I'm very clear. Uh, and yeah, yeah, I think see, and I've seen it, Vijeta, and you've seen it all along. You've been in the part of the ecosystem. We could always fall back to plan B in our professional lives. Falling back in to the plan B in personal life might not be that easy. So I don't know if we can actually draw, you know, it's a gray area for me. It might be very black and white for some of you, but it's a very gray area for me saying. And there are many points that we can get into detailing at some stage, not today, because today is a happy day. We should talk about happiness today. But yeah, I mean, there are many points that can spoil an organization. There are many points that can spoil the personal relationship, but you can still mend the ways. In a startup journey, in a business journey, when there are more egos at play, I think it is not easy. I mean, that's what I have seen.
Interesting. And Rohit, the one question that I have also, you keep saying, right, that the challenges that we face, right, the startup challenges, there are so many of them. Right? What are you talking about and feeling right now with your co-founders, and what can be done? If you can just, if you're okay to talk about a couple of these things, right? As you're scaling up, things are remote, no physical hackathons, etc., etc. What are you doing? Getting money in from customers, like ground reality. If you're okay to talk about that, of course.
I'm 100%. I'm very okay. Uh, see, last 12 months, and I don't know if everyone has felt this, felt similar. Last 12 months, considering the business and was very tough, we have seen a lot of upheaval in the relationships, be it professional relationships, be it personal relationships. The business, see, when things are going right, everything matters. When things kind of tend to go wrong, you end up looking at things in a very, in a very microscopic, myopic view. And I think last whatever 12 months now has given a lot of founders, and I've generally spoken with a lot of young founders who've not kind of, I mean, been there, done that. That last 1 year has been a good learning experience in saying where are we going wrong in terms of whole relationship and startup activities. Because one, we got a lot of time to think about what we were doing. There was no business. The only thing that you were doing was thinking, and you wanted to do, maybe pivot the businesses, and some, and then skill sets of your people were not matching, then you couldn't do pivoting, it's etc. Last 1 year, I think, in a size and scale of our kind of founders, last last 1 year has been an eye opener, Vijeta. And you will see the repercussions in next 3 to 6 months across. I mean, these can be good repercussions, it can be bad repercussions. I do not know. I'm not making that point, but you will see the change happening in the circuit that you all operate in.
Interesting. But look, I think what matters is, I know your other co-founders also, you guys are resilient, and you all will always figure out the survival mode. You have a whole good bunch of people that you work with. So that also makes a big difference, doesn't it, Rohit?
Absolutely. See, absolutely. So, from a core team perspective, you're fighting this battle together. I mean, so yes, it matters, but trust me when I say this, and last 12 months has been, since these were very tough, unprecedented kind of months for all of us. I think you will see lot of relationships going haywire.
It is not an easy time. But Rohit, listen, buddy, you please have a good time. Thank you so much for taking the time off, and also a word of thanks. You have been a brilliant ecosystem community player. You have been sharing a lot of founders introductions, and I have been part of your journey as well. And thank you for that. And all the very best, my friend. God bless you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thanks a lot,
Okay.
Rohit. And also we'll make sure about that conversation about the topics that you were discussing about the thing.
Yeah,
We'll do that.
yeah.
We'll find. Thank
Contextual. Yeah,
you so much.
sure. Sure.
Thank you. Thank you, Rohit.
Bye.
Yes. Now, anyone else who wants to join, please do that. Raise hand.
Somebody, Mr.
And
Francesco.
I'm just trying to find
He's
him.
Hmm.
Is he stepped out? No? Is he there now?
No, he
Okay.
does. I think he's popped out. No worries.
Yeah, because I see Venkat. Venkat is there. Damika is there from Sri
Happy
Lanka.
to have, yeah, Dhamika or Venkat.
Yes, yes, yes. Whoever wants to join us.
Please,
Okay.
Anamika.
And yeah.
Feel free to join in. Yeah.
Yeah. So, Jagat, the point here also remains that there will be challenges. And, I mean, we must talk about Rohit because he keeps talking about that, the context of it, that there are so many challenges founders are facing.
That's
But
right.
I would, there are some resources that I had shared that, I mean, I put it on the chat that there is the guys, whatever happens, right? Look out for all the grants, the schemes, the programs that keep coming out. See, for example, and associations also. For example, Jagat, you have been part of NASCOM. You're now a member of TI, and there are so many things that have been happening, right? We did so many global events and related to technology forums in the digital world, the mixers that we do. So keep coming and taking part. I think that's very important. You should take screen time and interact with people, right,
I agree.
Jagat? And I think also the fact that you also apply to accelerators, you also reach out to a lot of investors on your own. You have to hustle, man. That's the life of it, right? So
Yeah.
Jagat, a few things, right? I mean, like how are you going about your journey? You're raising investment, you're trying to do so many things. Okay. What would you like to talk about on that front?
I think for me, I look at, uh, as a CEO, I think my job is pretty straightforward. Yes, as a startup, there are a lot of things to do. But as a CEO, I look at two main things that I need to focus on most of the time. Of course, that was, previously I would say like majority of my work was on the product. I think we had to because, Akhil and myself, we had to really put together all of this ground up. So most of my work was towards the product to make sure that we are competent globally. We are, almost as good as any platform out there, if not better with some features. That was the main focus. But now going forward, I think to me as a CEO, the focus is purely on the customer. And I only look at, how can we deliver value to our customers. That so it kind of makes my line of thinking very, very straightforward. I try and avoid getting into too many work areas that are not directly trying to impact this, right? Till today it was all about the product, that the product is what the customer is going to see. But I think now it's more about evangelization, co-creating properties with various people. I think so. To me, it becomes very straightforward. Customers, and of course, you have to look at the investors as well, right? So ultimately, both of them have to do with money in the bank. If you don't have money in the bank, you don't have gas, you can't go anywhere. And to me, the number one thing, especially after last year, it's like a lot of startups have had a challenge. We've had it as challenging as anyone, right? Because while at one hand, video has become kind of mainstream. Of course, the kind of competition that we see, I don't think any startup in the world has the kind of competition we have, which is like $1 trillion competition. So good and bad, but keeping money in the bank is number one. So as a founder CEO, whatever you have to do, whether it's to customers or investors, the focus is money in the bank. Have cash. It's like the old saying in poker, right? If if you don't bet, you can't win, and if you don't have chips, you can't bet. So have chips. Make sure you can bet. That's how you can win. So to me, I keep it quite straightforward. But of course, it seems simplistic. Definitely not easy. You have various things. You have team issues that may come up. You have HR. You have accounts problem. You have compliance related. A lot of things that come up. But ideally, try and zen that focus to just the customers and investors.
That's a very interesting take, Jagat. I'm just trying to bring in as many resources possible into the game, like what's happening with some of the startups, what is happening, whatever small things.
A lot of
We
lot of
also have Sundar and Yog in the audience. If any of you guys want to come and say hi, Venkat, you can also raise your hand because I want to also make sure that within 10 minutes we are done because it's
yes,
also Sunday evening, family time, etc., etc. So we got to be careful about that as well. So
absolutely.
Jagat, what I was also coming back to this challenges and resources.
Yeah,
Okay, the how-to part. I think what we have to come together. Of course, while we continue with Startup Sunday and your Vidphone story and all the new iterations that are happening, the new services that you're offering to founders and business owners. Plus, we have the League of Extraordinary Stars, whatever, so many things. But bringing in some of these really cutting edge resources and tools that the founders can use,
yeah,
I think we should really focus on that, right? I mean, that's what will make a big difference, isn't it? So I want you to
absolutely.
now very quickly talk about some of these productivity tools, tracking tools. How do you send mailers out? How do you build your funnel? Can you talk about that flywheel engagement that you do, etc., etc., right? A few
Yeah,
basics, very pointed. If you can talk about it for the rest of the founders, please.
sure. So I think today, the focus really, when you look at what's happening with the COVID and everything, I think there are a lot of people who want to become entrepreneurs and start up. I think it's becoming more, right? Though we have seen the last couple of years, a lot of people have happened. I think We've only scratched the surface. We're going to have a million plus entrepreneurs in this country. And I mean like actual entrepreneurs running private limited companies. And, the hardest thing today for an entrepreneur is, where do I go to start a company? If I want to start up, okay, I have an idea, but where do I go, right? I think that's a big gray area today. A lot of things online. You can go to an incubator. You can, join some startup groups. But the fact is that there is no simple way to start a company. And I kind of broke this down, right? And I've worked with Vidphone, Akhil, myself. We always think of how can we make it really simple for people to run the business. And I put it down into this, right? So firstly, you need a web property. You need a website or something that's your home online where you do your business. This is critical. Most people have a difficult time just putting together a good website. And that itself is such a big challenge. You need to hire an agency, you need to hire content writers, you need to have images, then you need to fine tune it, you need to, connect the back end. There's all kinds of problems in just starting a website. And that's just the starting of everything. Then you have to, have your capture pages, you need to have a funnel, you need to have a database, you need to have email marketing, and then you need to, bring them into your loop, have 6-7 interactions, then they build trust. It's pretty complicated. So what we have tried to do, and I'll share a couple of other resources as well, but predominantly Vidphone today is what I use as an entrepreneur. I use like 90% of my work happens on Vidphone. It's in fact like the tool that I wanted myself. When I started 10 years ago, I had no clue what to do. Even today, of course, we are figuring out things, but we have a lot more clarity than 10 years ago. But, Vidphone really is the tool that I wanted as a startup founder myself, right? And why I say that is, this is one tool. If the moment I have my Vidphone address, which is my virtual office, I don't need a website. I automatically get my webinar platform, my meetings platform, appointment scheduling. I get my Vmail. All of these are pre-built, right? So the moment I just sign up, instantly 4 or 5 different tools are being activated. And what these tools do, they do everything from being able to connect with your team, being able to attract new customers, convert those customers, keep them really happy. So the number one resource, again, it's not just because, I built Vidphone. The reason I built this is because there's a big problem for entrepreneurs. They don't have a single platform to come bootstrap their way to, revenues. Number one is Vidphone. Second and third, I would say, like, of course, I use, ConvertKit. I think that's very important. Have something like a ConvertKit or a GetResponse, because, I would say that email is the most important. You cannot do away, you cannot do without email. No matter what social you do, no matter what blogs you write, your email database is what we call your internal list. For a startup, there are 2 lists. One is your external list, your internal list. External list is everybody outside in the world who does not know of your brand. And the internal list is everyone you have made a contact with, people that you can actually get their email ID. Now, the power of this internal list, why I emphasize so much on this, and today we have nearly 40,000 odd people who are part of our community. The reason we do that is because Facebook and Google algorithms keep changing every day. Even if you have 1 million people on your Facebook page, tomorrow there will be a new algorithm that comes and says, hey, you can only reach 1% of your people. Today there's Clubhouse. Everyone's jumping into Clubhouse, right? 6 months later, they're going to have an ad model and say, okay, when you go live on Clubhouse, only 5% of your people actually will, see it. It's going to happen. Every platform is like that. So we felt it's very risky to depend on whether it's a Facebook or Twitter or LinkedIn. Everything is, very, very dependent. So the email list is very critical. So because this, no matter what I want to do, if I just send a mail, it goes to them. There is no way that anybody can control that. So this is what we call an internal list. So Vidphone helps you with the V leads. We build a very, very powerful internal list. And then, of course, you have the meetings, webinars platform to engage your audience. So I think this is like really important. Vidphone, ConvertKit or GetResponse, a really good email marketing thing. ClickFunnels, right? I think ClickFunnels is really big. These 3, I think, are like the most important. You have to have a solid, virtual sales platform. You need to have a good email marketing and nurturing system. And third is you need to have good landing page software to be able to convert those leads.
Interesting. Jagat, that's really nice. So yes, you got to have the leads, you got to have the ability to convert it, And the people say, right, ideas are just ideas, but unless you converted it, innovate it, and the real thing about what founders do is they figure out how to make money out of those innovations and ideas, and give everything that you have into it, isn't it, Jagat? That's what matters.
I think these
Fantastic.
days, absolutely, these days, it's no more about a transaction, right? We can't think of being a transactional business. So even if you look at Vidphone, we've had so many events, with your support, Vijeta, and the community, but you very rarely find like a sales mail that comes out from us. It never happens because I feel like obviously we want to do good and we're a company and we grow sales, but it's critical not to have transactional relationships, right? Trust is built over time. If we are able to give enough value to people even before they pay us any money, I think then they will realize that if you pay us money, what's the kind of value you can get, right? So that's really our motto, and the way we go forward. Really, what we call a paid forward model, right? People can use all of our data, like all of our, all of the modules we have done. They can even use our platform for free, right? In fact, there are guys who have started doing some sales also, and they don't even pay us anything. So I think the moment you start doing that, the moment you get some results, of course you will, pay us money, and you'll pay it happily, right? More important, we don't like to take money that you feel bad paying, or you pay some money and you feel bad about it. It's like, hey, what happened to my money, right? It's never the case. You take all the value, you already benefited. Now I'm sure if you pay us something, it'll be fine.
Perfect, perfect. I think that's what matters, right? Make sales, but founders need to support each other, give each other lots of love, build the innovation clusters. I think if that happens, we as a country, as an ecosystem, we're going to grow even more. I was just reading about, how Taiwan, Singapore, South Korea, Switzerland, of course, 4 or 5 places are right on top in terms of the innovation and the way they work together. And why can't we do as well, if not better? How can we create a lot of cross bridges and collaborations? So, Tide, of course, Jagat, you know that we have been doing that. We have been trying to work with different embassies also.
Yeah.
We have something coming up, just to let everyone know. 1st March, we have something coming up with the Wales government. They'll be talking about all the opportunities that is going to be out there. We are also, trying to bring in a few other folks so that everyone can take advantage, Jagat. Of course, you have to be able to apply for it. You have to be ready for it, but the opportunities are massive. Okay. And with that, because we are right on almost on 7 o'clock now. In case anyone else wants to say something, the window is still open. That's what is important. And Jagat, what else can we give to the ecosystem in the next few weeks? What's the thought process around that?
I think tomorrow onwards you'll see a lot of, our thing is very action oriented now. I think we will be sharing a lot of conceptual stuff like we have been doing about, funnels and database and how do you nurture the leads. But what we will be doing from, tomorrow is a whole bunch of how to's. And I think, as you were saying also, uh, we kind of know now, right? Most of our, any customer that comes in and begins to do our webinars, on an average they generate like 200 leads completely organically. And I think that is the given us a lot of confidence. It's given us confidence in the model. And of course, we raised our funding completely online. Today I'm closing most of my deals completely online. Even our investors, they're coming in, they book an appointment with me, and then we are talking to our investors. So today I think this power needs to be given to all the founders, right? uh, that's really our focus, Vijeta. A lot of how to's. So basically in the next few sessions that we'll be holding, anyone can first of all become a startup founder. That's, I think, very important. And the second is for startup founders, how can they take their game to the next level, right? How can they look at 5x ROI? How can they look at a 10x ROI? And I think that's really the focus. That's what everybody needs. And the cat's going to be out of the bag. We're going to say how that's going to happen.
Okay, fantastic. And Jagat, people have been talking about, as you said, about Clubhouse, and then there are so many other platforms, and I think you also have got some thoughts around that, about how you can create more and more. And I think local, for like, we should make noise. We should be vocal for the local apps, and we should try to build our own ecosystems and help each other out. All right.
Yeah.
So this is important. This is critical.
As you said, I was telling you earlier, about a year and a half back, Akhil and I had a module in Vidphone, which was actually, social video rooms. It was like Clubhouse, but it's not audio. It's actually video. It's like everybody is popping in and having a conversation.
Yeah.
I think it was early days then, but yeah, I see seeing Clubhouse do well. Maybe we'd give it a shot as well.
No, no, it's important that everyone does well. Yeah, I mean, whatever can contribute to economy, you know, millions of people are using Clubhouse, and I'm sure that with the kind of work that you are doing, millions of people will be also very soon going to be using Vidphone as well. And yes, you have to have your revenue model in place because you have taken money from investors. You want to build it for yourself and your prosperity as well. Okay, but yeah, whatever we can do for the community, let's do it.
Absolutely. No, revenue model.
And
I don't know if I shared. We just closed a couple of deals last week. Serious deals. These are not like 1,000 rupee deals like SaaS Zoom accounts. These are enterprise deals, and I think that's going to be the template going forward. I think, and
fantastic,
people are happy
fantastic.
because they see the value.
Yes, and of course, and you know the kind of support that we're getting from the ecosystem, from Ashutosh, from Rohit, and even Shivi is stepping up to help us with some more content-driven sessions, which will help the founders. I think we're in good shape, but yes, the hustle never stops. Let's keep doing as much as we can and even more. So let the love spread. Let the
Oh,
community
yes.
benefit from it. Okay.
It's all about love, right? Love will keep us alive. Love will
Thank you.
keep us
Thank you.
alive.
Yes, yes. Thanks, Jagat, and thank you everyone for joining in and listening in and watching us. It's an audio visual experience, and all the insights that the founders shared. This was a special edition of Startup Sunday. We will keep coming back from Thai Bangalore, from Bitphone, from all our other associates, partners, ecosystem players. I hope the resources being shared. I just put it out on the chat, and we have the founders feed group as well, Jagat, which is pretty active, and we are trying to bring in as much resources and insights out there as well. Let's not stop it. And reaching out to all the founders from all over the world, join our community, and let's connect and let's stay in touch.
Yep.
Okay.
All right.
Thank you, everyone, and
Thanks a
a
lot.
special thanks to you, Jagat. Take care. Enjoy your family time now. Bye bye.
Thanks all. Bye bye.
Cheers. Cheers. Take care.